What would you do if the only family you loved and trusted told you to leave your own sister's wedding after you had spent 18 long hours on a plane just to be there? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. I stood there, still holding my suitcase, exhausted from the journey, expecting hugs and smiles. Instead, I was treated like a complete stranger. The people I crossed oceans to celebrate looked me in the eyes and told me I wasn't welcome. I never imagined that the happiest day of my sister's life would become the most heartbreaking day of mine. Leave. Only family is allowed here. My father said those words to me at my own sister's wedding. I had spent 18 hours on a plane to be there. I was standing on a cobblestone path outside a beautiful wedding venue, still holding my carry-on suitcase while soft piano music drifted through the open doors behind him. Guests laughed inside. Champagne glasses clinked. Warm golden lights glowed through the tall windows. And my father stood in front of the entrance like I was a complete stranger. My mother stood 2 steps behind him and said absolutely nothing. 3 days later, she called me about a $42,000 wedding bill. A bill with my name on it. That was the moment everything changed. My name is Serena Whitfield. I'm 34 years old. I live in Edinburgh and work in financial compliance consulting. I read contracts for a living. I look for missing details, hidden risks, and the tiny lies people hope nobody notices. My family forgot exactly what I do, and they made the mistake of thinking I wouldn't notice what they had done. Growing up in the Whitfield house always felt uneven. There were 2 versions of childhood happening under the same roof. There was Chloe's version. My younger sister got birthday parties, praise, attention, and support. When she turned 16, my father bought her a red Mini Cooper and parked it in the driveway with a giant gold bow. He called her my shining girl in front of everybody. Then there was my version. I filled out my own college applications at the public library because nobody reminded me deadlines were coming. I worked tutoring jobs after school to save money. Nobody helped me move into university. Nobody drove me there. I learned early that if I wanted something done, I had to do it myself. My father, Martin Whitfield, owned a small hardware supply shop in Bristol. He talked about it like it was a huge business empire. In reality, it was a small building with a leaking roof and a few workers who never stayed long. My mother, Sandra, spent most of her life agreeing with whatever my father said. Keeping the peace in our house usually meant pushing problems toward me because I was the easier child to disappoint. Chloe was different. Pretty, funny, effortlessly charming. She honestly believed the world would always make space for her. And most of the time it did. I left home at 18 with a partial scholarship and money I had saved myself. Years later, I moved to Edinburgh for work. I built a life there from nothing. A small flat near the water of Leith. Quiet mornings, long work days, a space that belonged entirely to me. I didn't leave home. Home left me first. Then one Tuesday afternoon in October, a wedding invitation arrived. Heavy cream envelope, silver lettering, expensive paper. Someone had spent real money on it. Inside was an invitation to the wedding of Chloe Whitfield and James Calloway at Ashford Manor in Bristol. I searched the venue online. Crystal chandeliers, manicured gardens, a grand ballroom, a place that cost more money than my parents normally spent in years. That immediately confused me. But what really stopped me was the handwritten note tucked inside. It wouldn't be complete without you. Please come. See. I stared at those words for a long time. For 7 years, my family barely contacted me unless they needed something. Birthdays were usually quick texts. Christmas was sometimes a group message. But now Chloe wanted me there. Or at least that's what I believed. So I booked the flight. Edinburgh to Bristol. 18 hours total with a connection. A ridiculous amount of money for economy seats in December. I told myself I wasn't going because everything was forgiven. I went because part of me still hoped things could be different. Nadia Osei, my closest friend from university, texted me after I told her, "You're actually going." I should have listened to the way she said it. When I landed in Bristol, everything felt familiar and strange at the same time. The grey winter sky. The smell of airport coffee and fast food. I picked up my rental car and drove to a hotel near the city center. I stopped staying with my parents years ago. Nobody questioned it anymore. That night I called Chloe. She answered quickly. Hey, you made it. Anything I should know about tomorrow? Yes. Just be there by 2 o'clock. Ceremony starts at 3 o'clock. Her voice sounded clipped and nervous, like someone standing in a crowded room trying not to say too much. I have to go, she said quickly. Wedding stuff. Then she hung up. I called my mother next. The first thing she said was, oh, you actually came. Not I'm happy you're here. Not I missed you. Just surprised that I showed up. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed after the call ended and stared at the wall. Something felt wrong. The next afternoon, I dressed carefully. Burgundy dress, gold earrings, low heels. Simple. Elegant. Ashford Manor looked breathtaking. Silver lights wrapped around ancient oak trees. Music floated through the cold air. Guests stood near the stone fountain laughing together. For one tiny second I thought maybe things really had changed. Then I saw my father standing outside the entrance. Not greeting guests. Waiting. For me. Serena, he said as I walked closer. You need to leave. Stop. Excuse me. Only family is allowed. I held up the invitation. I was invited. That was a mistake. His voice stayed flat. You shouldn't have come. Through the glass doors behind him, I could see Chloe in her wedding dress, laughing with her bridesmaids. My mother stood nearby watching us. She didn't step outside. She didn't defend me. Dad, I whispered. Don't do this. The guests are inside, he snapped. Walk away. I looked at him for a long moment. Then I turned around. I walked back across the cobblestones, pulled my suitcase behind me, got into my rental car, locked the doors and finally cried. Not because I missed the wedding. Because I had let myself hope. If this story is already pulling at something inside you, stay with me. 'Cause what happened next changed everything. Like and share so others can hear it too. That night, I sat in my hotel room still wearing the burgundy dress. The TV played silently in the background. Called Nadia. They did what? She shouted. I told her everything. The invitation. My father blocking the entrance. My mother watching silently. Chloe inside laughing while I stood outside holding an invitation nobody honored. Nadia became quiet. Serena, she finally said. People don't do something this extreme without a reason. You don't know my family. No, she replied slowly. I think I do. Something else is going on. 3 days passed. Nobody called. Nobody apologized. I worked remotely from my hotel room during the day and tried not to think about the wedding at night. Then I made the mistake of opening Instagram. Chloe had posted dozens of wedding photos. The flowers, the cake, the dancing, the sunset pictures. There wasn't a single photo of me. Not one mention that I had even been there. Then my mother posted a collage. Old family photos, baby pictures of Chloe. And one old photo of me and Chloe sitting on the front steps as little girls. The caption said, "So proud of both my girls." I stared at the word both for a long time. If I was really one of her girls, why was I left outside? The next morning my mother finally called. But not to apologize. We need to discuss the bill, she said coldly. What bill? The venue. It's $42,000. I frowned. Okay. How are you planning to pay it? The room suddenly felt colder. Serena. You signed the contract. You're the guarantor. My heart stopped. What? Your name is on the paperwork. Then my father grabbed the phone. Don't play dumb, Serena. Your name is on the agreement. I stood slowly. I never signed anything. Then who did? He snapped. I don't know, I said carefully. But it wasn't me. He hung up. I sat frozen on the hotel bed. Then something inside me shifted. I stopped feeling hurt and started paying attention. I called Ashford Manor immediately. A woman named Helen answered. I explained everything carefully. My name is Serena Whitfield. I understand I'm listed as guarantor for the Whitfield wedding. But I never signed that agreement. Silence. Then Helen spoke carefully. Miss Whitfield, if that's true, this is extremely serious. I know. I requested a copy of the contract. Then I called Nadia. It's real, I told her. She didn't panic. She became focused. Okay, she said. Now we work. The family pressure started almost immediately. My Aunt Rosemary called first. Honey, your mother is devastated. She says you promised to help pay. I never promised anything. Then came the emails, the texts, the voicemails. Family first. Don't destroy your parents over money. You earn good money. Just pay it. 22 relatives repeating the same story. That I had agreed to help. That I was breaking a promise. That I was selfish. I saved every message. Every voicemail. Every screenshot. In compliance work, documentation matters. Especially when someone else is rewriting your story. Then my cousin Marcus texted me quietly. Something feels off. I don't think they're telling the whole truth. Out of 22 people. He was the only one who questioned anything. Then Chloe called. You need to just pay the bill, she said. I laughed once. You kicked me out of your wedding. That was Dad's decision. But you let it happen. Silence. Then she sighed. Look, Dad handled the contract months ago. Done. Just pay it and move on. I never signed anything. You can afford it, she snapped. I leaned back slowly. Did you know Dad used my name? 5 long seconds passed. Then she said quietly. It doesn't matter. That told me everything. She knew. My father called again the next day. This time he tried threats. I talked to a solicitor friend, he said proudly. The contract is legally binding. Did your friend explain what happens if the signature was forged? Yes. Silence. Then anger. You think you're smarter than everybody because you live in Edinburgh. No, I said calmly. I just know what forgery means. Another silence. That silence mattered. Because innocent people deny accusations immediately. Guilty people pause first. Then my mother called alone. First she sounded emotional. Then she accidentally told the truth. We had no choice, she cried. The venue needed a guarantor. Our credit was ruined. I sat up straighter. So you used my information. We had your national insurance number and old tax documents from your childhood room. My chest tightened. You forged my signature. We didn't steal anything, she snapped suddenly. You're our daughter. There it was. The confession. A few days later, Marcus warned me about a family gathering. My mother was calling everyone together. Apparently, the goal was to help Serena see reason. Nadia laughed when I told her. They think they're staging an intervention, she said. What if they are? Then let them. Sunday morning, the contract finally arrived in my email. I opened the PDF slowly. There it was. The guarantor agreement. My name typed neatly across the page. And below it a signature. Serena Whitfield. But not my handwriting. Someone had tried to copy it. The loops looked wrong. The slant was wrong. The pressure was wrong. I opened my passport beside the contract. My real signature sat there clearly. The 2 signatures didn't match. Not even close. That's not my signature, I whispered. Nadia came to the hotel immediately. We sat together at the small desk reviewing everything. That's textbook forgery, she said. I wrote a formal letter to the venue's legal department. I explained everything. Attached my passport signature. Requested a full investigation. Nadia added one final sentence. Please preserve the original document for forensic analysis. Then we waited. A day later the venue replied. They were officially investigating the signature. And they had suspended all collection efforts against me. Nadia smiled when she read the email. They already believe you. Then Helen, the event coordinator, sent another message privately. She remembered who had dropped off the contract. An older gentleman, she wrote. He signed the paperwork in person at the front desk. My father. My father walked into that venue and signed my name himself. Like my identity belonged to him. They thought they had buried the truth deep enough. They were wrong. Share this story, someone out there needs to hear it. Part 3 is coming. Sunday finally arrived. The family gathering. The public pressure campaign. I dressed carefully. White blouse. Navy blazer. Professional. Controlled. The folder sat on the passenger seat beside me. Contract copy. Passport. Venue letters. Everything perfectly organized. When I walked into Aunt Rosemary's house, 15 people looked up at once. My father sat at the head of the table. My mother beside him. Chloe next to James. There wasn't even a chair for me. Marcus quietly stood up and brought one from the kitchen. Then my father began. We're here because Serena made a commitment and refuses to honor it. My mother dabbed fake tears from her eyes. We didn't want this to become public. Chloe looked down sadly. I just wanted my sister at my wedding. The performance was impressive. Everyone started speaking. Serena, just do the right thing. Your parents could lose their home. You earn enough money. Nobody asked if the story was true. They simply accepted it. But then I noticed James. He looked confused. What contract? He whispered to Chloe. She quietly replied. I'll explain later. That was interesting. He didn't know. My father finally looked at me confidently. She can't defend herself because she knows she signed it. That's when I stood. The room became silent. I placed the contract in the center of the table. This is the guarantor agreement everyone keeps talking about, I said. Then I placed my passport beside it. And this is my real signature. People leaned forward. Aunt Rosemary picked up the papers first. Then my Uncle Derek. Then even Cousin Beth finally stopped looking at her phone. The difference was obvious. These signatures don't match, I said calmly. Ashford Manor is officially investigating forgery. I placed the legal letter beside the contract. My father's face turned gray. That's ridiculous, he said weakly. You probably signed electronically. No, I said. The venue coordinator confirmed an older gentleman signed the paperwork in person. Silence filled the room. Heavy silence. Then Aunt Rosemary slowly looked at my father. Martin, did you forge her signature? He opened his mouth, closed it. Finally he whispered. We had no choice. Uncle Derek stood immediately. You committed fraud. My mother started crying. We were desperate. Then James turned toward Chloe. You knew. She grabbed his arm. James, you knew your father forged your sister's name? It was complicated. It's a crime, he said quietly. The room exploded. Questions, arguments, shock, anger. And through all of it I stayed calm. Finally I raised one hand. Silence returned. I'm not pressing charges, I said. Everyone stared. But I want everyone here to understand 3 things. I held up one finger. I never signed that contract. Second finger. I flew 18 hours for Chloe's wedding and was turned away because my father was afraid I would discover the truth. Third finger. I will not carry debts that were never mine. My mother started crying harder. Serena, please. No, I said softly. I'm done being the person this family only calls when they need money, signatures, or someone to blame. I gathered my papers. Then I looked around the room one last time. Kindness is not a contract, I said. And family is not a blank check. Then I walked out. Nobody stopped me. Outside, the winter air felt cold and clean. As I reached my car, I heard shouting through the open window. James's voice. You lied to me about the money. You lied about your sister. What else did you lie about? I didn't stay to listen. Marcus came outside a minute later. That took guts, he said quietly. You helped. I shrugged. Most people inside are on your side now. What about James? He says he needs space. He nodded. Then I drove away. Monday morning, while checking out of the hotel, I received the final email from Ashford Manor. The investigation was complete. The signature did not match mine. The guarantor agreement was officially void. All $42,000 in debt returned to the original contracting parties, Martin and Sandra Whitfield. I stood in the hotel lobby reading the email over and over. Finally, it was over. I owed nothing. 3 days after I returned to Edinburgh, Chloe called. Her voice sounded smaller. "We cancelled the Maldives trip," she said quietly. "James says he can't trust me." I stayed silent. "He wants us to use the honeymoon money to help pay the venue. Are you going to?" I asked. "I think I have to." Then she started crying. Real crying. Not performance. Not manipulation. Just pain. "I was wrong," she whispered. "Yes," I said gently. "You were. How do I fix it?" "You start by telling the truth." The call ended quietly. No magical ending. No instant forgiveness. Just honesty for the first time. A week later, my father called. The venue was threatening legal action. He had sold the van, sold shop equipment, trying to pay the debt. Then he admitted something else. "I also signed your name for the furniture and linen rentals," he said. "Another $5,200. Closed my eyes. "Dad, I'm not saving you from this." "I know," he whispered. Then, for the first time in years, he apologized without excuses. "I thought you'd quietly pay," he admitted. "Because that's what I've always done," I said. Yes. That honesty hurt more than the forgery. 'Cause he was right. I had spent years quietly cleaning up everyone else's messes. No more. Months passed. Life slowly changed. Martin and Sandra started a payment plan with the venue. My mother got a part-time job at a local supermarket. Chloe and James entered couples counseling. The venue chose not to press criminal charges. One afternoon, my mother mailed me a handwritten letter. It said, "I am learning what it means to earn a relationship instead of demanding one." I didn't answer right away. Not because I hated her. Because I was finally learning that I didn't have to rush to fix everything. Back in Edinburgh, life became quieter, steadier. I started saying yes to things. Dinner invitations, weekend trips, long conversations with people who actually cared about me. For years, I confused independence with isolation. I thought strength meant needing nobody. But Nadia taught me something different. Sometimes strength means letting good people stay. Months later, I finally called Chloe again. The conversation was simple. "How's work?" she asked. "Busy." "How's James?" "We're working on things," she said quietly. Then she paused. "I'm glad you called." And this time I believed her. Not because everything was fixed, but because for once there was no hidden agenda underneath the conversation. No request. No manipulation. Just honesty. Now it's spring in Edinburgh. I still think about that wedding sometimes. Cobblestone path. Piano music. My father telling me only family was allowed. In a strange way, he was right. The problem was that he forgot what family actually means. Family isn't a performance. It isn't borrowed wealth. It isn't using someone else's name like it belongs to you. Family is choice. It's Nadia bringing tea to my hotel room when I almost gave up. It's Marcus sending screenshots because he knew the truth mattered. It's Chloe finally speaking honestly after years of pretending. I still keep my passport on the shelf beside my desk. My signature is inside. Clean. Certain. Clean. My name is Serena Whitfield. I live alone in a quiet flat beside the river. I read contracts for a living. And I finally understand something important. Saying no to what hurts you is also saying yes to yourself. Nobody signs my name but me. And now, finally, that's enough. That's my story. And if this story connected with you, thank you for staying until the end. Maybe you've had to set boundaries with family too. Maybe you've been the person everyone only calls when they need help. Or maybe your story is completely different. Whatever it is, remember this. Your kindness should never cost your identity. And your name belongs to you. If this reached your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Someone out there needs to hear this today.